A very good afternoon to you, Matt Bentley-Walls here, with a follow-up, a part B, if you like, to the Leica M11. All my common sense tells me I shouldn't be doing this because it sounds reactive, I suppose. Now, I guess in a sense it is. But there were a few things that I didn't cover that I kind of thought, yeah, I should have touched on that, and I thought it would be good to follow up on some of the comments that were left. Now, I've done a screen grab that I'm going to show you here. Just the likes versus dislikes, and if you look on the fourth column down, over to the right, extreme right, fourth vlog down, it's 82%, which is the lowest ratio. I've got 100%, 100%, nothing for the top one because I've only just uploaded that one. Yeah, I've been quite busy. 100% below that, 90.9%, 100%, 97%, and so it goes on. And the, what is it, 82% is actually phenomenally high. I thought it would be a lot lower. I'm not saying I look at these things, these stats, because I don't mean an awful lot really. But I just noticed it and I thought that'd be interesting. I'll just bring that up and show that. I honestly thought it'd be around about the 50-50 mark. The comments, that a lot of people agreed with me, a lot of people didn't agree. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It wasn't a vlog about agreeing or disagreeing, really. It was just my thoughts, my initial thoughts on the M11. And yeah, let's just follow it up. I said I'd do it, so yeah, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So, have I changed my thoughts in any way? Not really. Not really. Even sort of taking on board the comments that people have made. I think the overriding comment, and it's all there, you can have a read through the comments. I think the overwhelming comments made by people who maybe have disliked or said they didn't agree with something have basically said that, well, look, it's got 60 megapixels, therefore you can crop the hell out of an image and still have a decent size image left. And I agree with that. Absolutely, completely legitimate comment to make. Get no argument from me, except that I don't crop. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that you can't crop. Far from it. For me, cropping is an integral part of the image, or rather, not cropping is an integral part of the image. For me, the rangefinder allows you to, for me, it's all about composition. And when I say composition, I'm talking about geometry in terms of actual shapes within that image. You can call it 3.142 or whatever. You can talk about rules of, the rule of thirds and, etc., etc. For me, it's all about the shapes within that image, within that rectangle, within your viewfinder, and also light and shade and the right balance of. Now, that said, you can crop to make that happen, for sure. But that leads on to other things. And for me, that's a very, very slippery slope that I just won't embark upon. When I show an image, like, let's say on YouTube, the last thing I want is for people to go, can I believe that image? Is that a real image? Has he cropped that image? Has he superimposed something onto that image? Has he photoshopped something out of that image? What can I believe? Like, dislike, or be indifferent to. In fact, it's not even about what other people think. It's about me being able to put my head down on the pillow at night and sleep. I'm not happy if I have to crop an image, because I have basically crossed the line. I'm basically saying the image wasn't good enough. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna make out that I haven't cropped it. It's just, you've lost your integrity. And if you lose your integrity, what else have you got left? Literally. People are just going to go, sorry, I don't believe it. That could be the best image in the world, but sorry, I don't believe it. You see where I'm going? It's like, look, if you're a commercial photographer and you crop an image, that's, it's a commercial image. It's trying to sell you something. It might be a very high caliber image. That's not the point. The point is that it's a commercial image designed to get you to part with your hard-earned money. Okay, there's a reason behind that image. We see it in a magazine, see it on a billboard. We know that an image seen in that context is all about selling you something, selling you a product. When I take an image, I'm not suggesting for one moment it transcends, greater meaning and is more purposeful than a commercial image. No. But it's a very personal image, and therefore, and it's my image. More importantly, it's not for a company trying to sell something. It is my image, and it's about me being able to say, well, I think it's good. I think I like this, and this is why I'm showing it you. And you might not like it, but you can believe it. Or you might really love it. You can still believe it. It's honest. It's real. And that, for me, is what it's about. If Leica I'm not saying Leica for 1 minute are saying this, but if they've come to this idea of a 16 megapixel camera with the view that people can crop the hell out of it, even that is slightly troublesome to me in the sense that, their DNA almost is Cartier-Bresson. A load of other photographers as well, but Cartier-Bresson, one of the greatest, I would say, top 3 20th century artists, used a Leica. And guess what? Cartier-Bresson didn't crop. One of his main things was don't crop. I mean, okay, there's always an exception to the rule here. And I don't know what Cartier-Bresson's thinking was, but one of his most famous images, the image that defines the what's it called? The decisive moment. The bloke jumping across the puddle. That image is cropped. So there's always an exception to the rule. But in all honesty, Cartier-Bresson didn't want to use it initially. He took it between railings, and one of the vertical railings was in the way of the image, and he said that he couldn't even see. He just had to wait and hope that he pressed the button at the right time, and he managed to do it, more by luck than anything else. And it's interesting because when you see him being interviewed when he was alive, he did a few interviews before he died, because he always said he didn't want to become known. You know, fame is wonderful so long as you can remain unknown, or something like that. In other words, it's fine for your work to be recognised, but he didn't want to be recognised. And he said that, you know, if you're recognised, then he couldn't have taken the photographs that he took. But when he's interviewed, you know, people sort of, the interviewers would say to him, you know, how do you take an amazing image like this? And he said, well, it was just an accident. And they think he's being incredibly modest. And he said, no, it was an accident. I shot it through a railing, and, you know, the railing was in the way. And he's perfectly honest about it. And that kind of bursts their bubble, you know, in some way. He's just being honest about it. I think it's, you know, as far as I know, it's the one and only image that was cropped. And he was persuaded to use it because, hey, you know, in a funny kind of way, I think it works even without the crop. I just, you know. But hey, it works with the crop as well. So look, there's always the exception. And I'm not saying, oh, this is a rule that everybody else has to abide by. No, not at all. You know, I'm saying don't even abide by the rule of thirds, or the rules of geometry. You know, introduce your own geometry to an image. That's perfectly valid as well. But when you start cropping, if you make a habit of it, if it's a thing that you do all the time, I just think people are going to think, well, okay, what else has he done or she done? What, you know, where does it stop? What else have they done? Can I believe what I'm looking at? Is this real? And that's why it's a slippery slope. That's, you know, and so the people that have commented, you know, it's a perfectly valid comment. And I'm saying, if you want to crop, that's fine. Crop to your heart's content. I'm just not doing it. I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying if you do, there more than likely will be some sort of upshot from it. I think. You know, maybe, you know, maybe it makes no difference to you. Maybe, and that's absolutely fine as well. But if it's Leica's idea that, oh, you know, put 60 megapixels on so people can crop, and their DNA is, you know, heavily steeped in the Cartier-Bresson world, it's a funny thing to do. It's a funny thing to throw on there. For me, as I've said before in the first vlog, the first M11 vlog, it's a gimmicky camera. There seems to be a bit of a cycle. They seem to get one camera really good and then seem to lose all common sense for the next launch, and then they pull it back in again and make another brilliant you know, look, every single camera that they've launched, every single rangefinder, I think I said it in the previous vlog, is world class. Okay, I'm not saying the M11 is a bad camera. I just think it's poorly devised. I don't think, just like the M240, you know, M8, okay, it's not arrived, but they've announced themselves. M9, brilliant. I'm talking about the context of, at that time, it was brilliant. Yes, it's got some flaws, but the files on it are still fantastic. But brilliant camera for its time. M240, you know, gimmicky video and the like. Then they rein it back in and get it absolutely bang on with the M10, M10R. And now they've gone awry again. Things have gone awry with the, you know, it's like a lockdown Leica. It seems like the various departments were working from home and they didn't communicate properly or something. I don't know what it is. Is it a bad camera? Not at all. It's the best rangefinder on the planet in terms of technology, in terms of, you know, everything else. But I still wouldn't buy one. I think the M10 is a far better camera. It's an infinitely better camera. It doesn't have all the gubbins on that I'm never going to use in a million years. It's not like, oh, I'm never going to use it now, but I might use it. It might be useful in 2 years' time. No, not going to use it. The other thing is, I thought about this for a while. I imagined having an M11 and taking it out and thinking, what setting do I put it on here? Do I go for small, which is plenty enough in my opinion, 18 megapixels, or do I push the boat out and go for medium, 36 megapixels? Or do I put it on large on 60? How do I decide? And whatever I decide, it's probably going to be wrong. I'm going to kick myself, and it's like, well, 3 different choices. Normally, choice is brilliant, but sometimes it's just superfluous. It doesn't make any sense. It's as though they couldn't think what else to do. And here's my next point. And I sort of touched on it in the first vlog. It's like every 2 years, oh, that's the cut-off point. You have to have a new launch. Every 2 years. Gotta, bring them in. Get a new launch. Get a new model out. Blah, 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 blah. Look, if you haven't got anything sensible, and, you set the standard Leica with the M10, very difficult camera to better because it's so brilliant. So, I'm not knocking you in that sense, but, and it's a big, big but, if you haven't got anything sensible to introduce that really makes sense, that people can kind of, why not? It's just a thought. Why not just say that? Just say, look, we're working on stuff. We're not too sure yet. We might do 60 meg. It depends how, we're thinking about stuff. We've got that, but we've got some other things in the pipeline, and, as and when, but 2 years just isn't long enough. But I'll tell you what we'll do in the interim. Instead of throwing gimmicks onto a camera and charging even more, why don't you bring about a camera that is pared down, let's say, from the M10, doesn't have, a screen on it, or it's made of aluminium, or whatever. You produce a body, an M body, that is affordable to most people. You introduce a whole load of people that are gonna love that are gonna really be excited about that, and then they're gonna be able to think, and now maybe I can afford a lens as well. But I couldn't have done that if I'd bought an M body, because the two of them together are just way too much money. You also get rid of that awful, in my opinion, that awful sort of reputation for being, a camera that only pop stars can afford, that don't even know how to use them half the time. It shrugs that off once and for good, and forever. At the moment, people who can't afford a Leica get an M6 or the like, something that's 30 years old. Why don't you just produce an M body that doesn't do half the things that an M10 does? You sort that one out, but has the essentials on. People can afford. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be more affordable. It's $2,500 rather than $5,000, or $7,500, however much the M11 is now. Why don't you put some energy into doing that, and win over a lot more people, and introduce the M system, the rangefinder system, to a load of people out there that would love to be involved in it. And, stop sort of throwing stuff on, charging even more money when, come on, it's not a great idea. Introduce a great camera. Still have your great cameras that cost a lot of money. You know, every 4 years or whatever. When common sense is prevailing and it makes sense to do something, but don't just throw some stuff on, change the plate. You know, I mean, it's just superfluous. It doesn't make any sense. Are you changing the plate because you want to morph it into a Q2 now, or an SL2, or whatever cameras they are that you have that use those batteries? I don't know. You know, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Use the energy to produce a camera that most people can afford, or a lot more people can afford. And that's just, you know, that's what I would say. You know, I'm not saying the M11 is a bad camera. It's not. It's a world-class camera. But really, it doesn't add up, really. It's, you know, you know, that's all I'm really going to say on the matter. It's I'm sure there are, you know, there are a million people out there that have bought the M11, and that's fine. I hope you enjoy it immensely. I just, yeah, doesn't stack up to me. But anyway, those are just some additional thoughts. And you know, I'm not ever saying agree, don't agree. It's just a discussion thing. Throw some thoughts out there, and you know, like, don't like, agree, don't agree. It's, you know, it's more about suggestion and thoughts than kind of being binary about things. For me, it's just how I see it. Nothing on the M11 makes that much sense to me. And I think, you know, I think you could do a lot more good and sort of take stuff off a camera than feel compelled to throw superfluous stuff onto a camera and charge an absolute fortune. Anyway, just my thoughts. I said I'd do it. Here it is. That 82% is probably going to nosedive now. I don't know. Or maybe it won't. Maybe it'll go up to... maybe it'll go up. I don't know. Just thought I'd throw it out there. And there's not going to be a part C to this. I've said enough. And yeah. That's my thoughts on the M11. Cheers for now. See you for the next one. I think my next one is going to be, you know, somebody left a comment on my 35mm or 50mm lens vlog, and they said, yeah, that's great, you know, that's really helpful, thanks so much. And now, what would you go for, a rangefinder or an SLR? And I thought, hey, there's another vlog, you know. I think you probably know what I'm going to say. But look, each have their, you know, you can excel virtues from each of them. I think both are great for different things. But I think it's sometimes good to extol those virtues and talk about what they're good for and what are the advantages one for the other. I was weaned on an SLR. When I went to rangefinder, I found it very disconcerting. Really weird, in fact. You know, all my muscle memory was geared to the SLR, and then suddenly there's this thing that doesn't make any noise. It's really quiet, and I don't have that lovely sound of a mirror slapping against foam. And then you sort of start thinking and realise a few things. But yeah, so I thought that would be the next one. I am more than happy to talk about things that you want to suggest, things that you want to know about. That's really all this is about. You know, I would have loved YouTube. I do love YouTube, but I would have loved YouTube when I was 20. There wasn't anything out there like that, and I could have had all those discussions back then, it would have been so helpful and so useful. But hey, we can do it now. No time like the present. So thank you again so much for stopping by. Thank you for all the likes and dislikes. You know, that's fine as well. I'm not ever pretending to be an expert. There are always people that know more than you, some know less, and hopefully it's help. You know, it's not even about agreeing, because if I say something that you disagree with, that might help you understand how you want to go, and that's great too. So you see what I mean? Just information. Information's always good. So yeah, thanks again. Cheers for now. See you for the next one.